In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, hello and regards. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai, here with a new session for you, my friends. In version S3, which I often call the computer, when you open it. The first section is the computer. We have something called properties. What happens if we click on properties here? Or if we right-click on it, properties? Or if you press the shortcut Alt plus Enter, it does the same thing. It opens the properties window for us. Here, for example, if we want to rename this drive of ours, for instance, I can change its name to Ahmadzai or anything else. We learned another way yesterday. Previously, in quick access, it was called rename. We can do it from here as well. We can do it from here too. And it also has shortcuts like F2, or if we right-click and select rename. So, in short, we can do this from several places. After that, there's something else it shows us. Local Disk C, NTFS, New Technology File System, they call it NTFS for new hard drives. If it's exFAT, for example. In total, it's 97 gigabytes, which is almost 100 gigabytes, or it shows it based on bytes, but here it's shown in GB. That's why it's easier here. Out of this 97 gigabytes, 72 gigabytes has currently been used in total, and the remaining 25 gigabytes is still free. Generally, if we select this and click OK, we can also compress the drive a bit, create a shortcut, and for example, it removes incomplete spaces from the files, and there's another section called index as well. We had read about this in the properties section. We used to go to a file. In the index, in the additional information section, we would write ourselves. We had told you in previous sections that when we go to the properties section, each file has some default information about itself. Some of the information is what we retrieve ourselves. This is its default information, which we cannot change, but some information we can index ourselves. One should include both, and one should only show the system's own information. Now, moving on, in the Tools section, we have something called Optimize and also Check Error. For example, if there is any hardware issue with the hard disk, you can click on Check Error right here in this drive. Then, after selecting, you scan the device. It will tell you if there is any problem, or if the device scan is successful, it will let you know if there is any issue. No error found means that there is no software or hardware error, and it just checks it for you. The Optimize section is like on a mobile, and in the mobile section, when you go to the Manage section, it always tells you to optimize the applications. When it's optimized, the device works a bit faster. At that time, you can also optimize the drive. In the hardware section, it just shows which company your hard disk is from. For example, it could be a Samsung HDD. We mentioned before that if we wanted this information, we could also get it from Task Manager by going to the Performance section. We select a hard disk. It shows that the hard disk is Samsung, it's an SSD, and it displays its capacity for you. It shows how much space is free. Altogether, 226 gigabytes is available, but this drive doesn't show the drive. Overall, it shows that we have something else similar to the name sharing. Is the folder shared or not shared? For example, we can have a network. We select a folder. You tell it what to do. We click on Share from here. The folder becomes shared. From another computer, you can select the shared folder or shared drive. So, we can also stop it. For now, it shows from here. Drive D is not shared. In the Security section, we can select the permissions. For example, from a certain drive, whoever accesses it, from which user, whoever logs in. Which actions they are allowed to do, or which ones they are not allowed to do. Again, we can specify this. For instance, we can say that any user who logs in, for example, they can't do these tasks, or they can do these tasks, and they can't do that one. You can deny all these permissions for them. So overall, they can't do anything. They open the main drive, but can't access it. They can't delete files. When the administrator logs in and performs tasks, we apply the policy. Overall, there are two sections, the policy section and the network section, and if you want, you can work from your own place. Then in security, we have something called previous versions. This is the section I mentioned to you earlier. There's something here that we call TES. Here, if we want, for example, the interest is set to this amount for each user who logs in for now. For example, I have two users. Right now, there's my own user and the student user. From whichever user we log in, inside this drive, at the end of the laptop, its storage can be accessed. For example, the D drive is 100 gigabytes. We can, for instance, copy a file into it as a user. That 100 gigabytes can be filled up, or I can do the same things from my own drive. If we don't want this to happen, we can apply a policy to it. We can say no. Whoever logs in through a user account can only fill up to 20 gigabytes at most. Let the remaining 80 gigs, or 60 gigs, be reserved for me. Again, ultimately, whenever we copy a file from the main drive, it can only fill up the 30 or 40 gigs we've allocated for it, no more than that. They can't use the extra space at first. Here, we come and specify, for example, if we're accessing from the internal drive, if it's set to no limit, it means anyone who logs in can fill it up as much as there's space available. But from now on, we tell it that there must be a limit. We set how many KBs, from how many to how many, in the end. It starts from 1 KB, and we write how much, based on KB, and in the end, this sets a limit for the drive. In the Customize section, if we want, for example, by default, its focus to be only on the document, or for it to show the pictures and videos folder, or general items. Meaning, whatever we have mixed up in the middle, it shows all of it. If we want to choose a file, we can select its icon, for example, on a photo, by clicking on its icon. If we want, we can also restore it by default, meaning we restore all the changes that have been made in the settings. If we click open, it will open this for you. Rename. We said that we could rename from here. We said we could right-click and use F2 as a shortcut, and we can also do this from here. In MD Access, we have something called a server. For example, if we have a computer that acts as a server, like if our laptop is a Xiaomi media server and has music, movies, and so on, in short, if we have something as a server in our room. If we want to connect to it, we click on Connect to Media Server, and if we cancel, in the end it gives a warning. So if we want to disconnect, then we get disconnected from it. That is, when we click on Connect to it. The command that connects to it will automatically mount another drive here. That means the drive from that computer will be mounted here, and when we double-click on it, it opens. That thing is the same computer, the same folder that has been shared with us, it's the same drive, and we only see it here when we open it. And if we do the opposite ourselves, for example, if we set our own drive to be a shared drive, we can also click on Map Network Drive here. For example, you can specify which drive letter this drive of ours should be. Again, we share this. Both of these are related to the networking lessons. For now, if we actually want to do these things, we still need 2 computers and a cable and so on as a basic requirement, but the lesson is about Windows, which we are going to explain. It's something that's not related to the Windows lessons. It's a setting. Generally, the lessons, it's a setting that opens up overall, and within each of these, you and I have our own settings. Everything is separated, and we work with the details. We have the Install, Uninstall, or Change Program section. If we want to see the software installed on our computer, for example, if we have WhatsApp and we wanted to show that WhatsApp is 182 megabytes and was installed on our computer on this date. If we don't want it, we select Uninstall. In the end, we can remove it. There's something we have called System Properties. System Properties opens up a section for us that just gives us information about the computer. For example, this very computer we're on, its device name is Desktop. Its processor is from Intel. It's a Core i7. That means any number that starts here shows its generation. If 10, its generation is 10. If 7, it's 7. Our computer's generation is 8. Core i7. Gigahertz. RAM. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Our system processor is 64-bit, and our Windows is also 64-bit, or 32 to 64. We install the operating system. It's Windows 10. It shows from which date it was installed, or its driver pack, and finally gives information. So, to get information about our computer, we actually have a lot of ways. For example, we can get detailed information from this section. If we want, we can right-click here instead. On this page, you can also see the Display Properties section, and in the System part, let's go to About. From here, we can open up that information. Or, on the other hand, we can more easily and conveniently access some of the information we previously learned by going to the Task Manager section. From there as well, in one way or another, we can get information about the CPU, RAM, hard disk, and GPU. Alright, if there's no problem, we can also come here to this Intel Graphics Settings section. It also shows the graphics settings from here. We right-click and go to Graphics Settings. Here too, we can get information about the computer. We go to the Support Options section. Here, it completely shows today's date on the computer, the current time on the computer. The drivers for the devices are installed. Our Windows is Windows 10 Pro. Our RAM is 16 gigabytes. Our graphics card is 8 gigabytes. And what is our computer's resolution? How many cores does its processor have? What generation is it? In short, I'm telling you, this section gives you information about your computer. But the proper way to get information about your computer is, when you buy a new computer, it's better to restart the computer. Hold down the Shift key and go into Settings. It tells us inside the Setup or BIOS. And you'll be there too. There, you can see all the details about your computer one by one. Because from there, the information can't be changed. It doesn't need to be changed. From here, we can also change the information using software. So, the first and most important way is through the BIOS. After that, you can use other methods. First, if we want to find out, for example, how much dedicated RAM our computer has, how much of the graphics card is shared, for example, and how much of it is dedicated. Then, what do we do with them? Again, we go to Display. In Display, here we have another section called Advanced Display Settings. We go to this part, Display Adapter Properties. Here, it shows us what our graphics card is. In total, 8,227 megabytes is our VRAM. This graphics card includes 6,028 megabytes dedicated VRAM and 8,019,299 megabytes shared. Altogether, it's the same 8 gigabytes of core graphics. Actually, it's shared. It doesn't have dedicated memory. It's not much, but when they say dedicated, they mean the computer you buy 4 gigabytes of dedicated RAM. For computers, these say they have 2 gigabytes of dedicated memory. For example, let's check again. We check to see if its actual dedicated memory is 2 gigabytes or not. Now, out of the 8 gigabytes we have, all 8 gigabytes are shared. But after the BIOS, if we want, we can go into the settings, or we can write it in Dexliag. Sometimes we confirm it. It opens a page for us that gives detailed information about the computer. There's a lot of information. It gives information about all the sensors and everything else if we want. If we want to print it, it comes out to about 40 or 40-some pages of information. We get specific information about the PC. It says, give me full information about these. You can also get information about all the sensors and everything else from here. If you go to print it, it'll be several pages. In the System section, you can see information showing what our current date and time is. Our computer is currently a desktop. It shows its generation. Our Windows is 10 and it's 64-bit. What's the default language of our computer? It's English. Which company manufactured it? For example, Dell Corporation, Latitude 5500 is its model. Its processor is from Intel Core i7, its generation. It's the 8th, and it shows the processor, how many CPUs it has. 8 CPUs. Inside one processor, we have 8 small CPUs. They work together. How much RAM does it have? 16 gigabytes. How much DirectX is installed, and that's the graphics card. In the Display section, it gives you complete information about the display. See how much RAM it has, how much is the graphics card, how much of it is dedicated, how much of it is shared. It gives you all the details right here. It has everything about the sound card and input. If we want to do something with this information, for example, what should we do? Save it or print it out later. Okay, I'll record a video for it, save it, and if we want, we can print it later. For example, we say, save it for us on the desktop, Amir. Now try to notice that when we open this information, on the surface some people just see it. They think it's just one page, but it's actually a lot. It turns into several pages. If we go and take a printout of this, we say, print one out for us. If I'm on the desktop, I'll come. I saved it as 3. I printed it. Since we don't have a printer, what happens then? It gets saved. As a PDF file, it turned into over 150 pages. From the moment we open it, here it shows us the total number of pages, 151 pages. All the information is about computers. Alright, try to keep up with the lessons, because later on, at the very end, we have something else called Manage. So, what is Manage exactly? If we click on Manage with the mouse, try to see that it also opens from here, and if we want, we can right-click on this PC. From here, you can open Manage. In Manage, there are a lot of options, especially in the Network section, where people who teach or work with retail do a lot of different tasks. One of the things you can do, for example, is disable various sensors or computer ports. Up until now, for example, we might have plugged in a flash drive through USB, or there are speakers, or a camera, or a microphone, or many other ports. All of these can be enabled or disabled. If you want to, for any of them, for example, if you right-click on the camera, you can set it up. For example, if you disable it, it becomes inactive. It won't work anymore. So, if you enable it again, it will work. And finally, I kindly ask you, dear friends, if you found the videos useful, please like the videos to support us and help the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next sessions. Goodbye.